Hi everyone, I'm Ariana Brazier. I go by Ari, and I am with Krista Kohr, who goes by Krista. And today we are reading Yoga Animals in the Forest. Jump, stretch, balance, breathe, and relax with animals. This book was written by Christian Kerr and was illustrated by Julia Green. So, this is the About page. About this book. In this book, we will read about Bear's journey through the forest. Along the way, our friend Bear will meet friends who will teach her how to do some simple yoga poses. First, Bear will learn each pose and why each pose is helpful, and you'll see her try them out. Then it's your turn. And so, what we're going to do is we're going to listen to the story and we're going to move along with Bear before we go back through and practice some of the poses in the ways that Bear's friends teach her. So, first, we want you to move with Bear on your own, okay? And then we'll learn the ways of Bear's friends in the forest. Are you ready, Krista? Okay. So, Bear woke up from a long, deep sleep. She yawned a great big yawn and tried hard to keep her eyes open. I do this when I want to wake up, said Rabbit. What do you do when you want to wake up? Me, I like to shake before I really get up. Bear stood very still and breathed, just like Rabbit. And Bear started to feel more awake. See, Bear's breathing with Rabbit. Did you know that deep breaths can make you feel more awake? After such a long sleep, Bear felt a little grouchy. I balanced myself like this, said Bird. Bear stood on one leg and then on the other, just like Bird, and a smile spread across Bear's face. Don't forget the smile. All Bear wanted now was to have a good long stretch. Sometimes I reach up and try to touch the sky, said Chipmunk. Bear stretched and stretched, just like Chipmunk. And Bear thought, how wonderful it is to live in the forest. See the two friends stretching? They stretched and touched the sky. Walking through the trees, Bear wondered, what to do next? Every morning, I try to think clearly about the day ahead, said Mouse. Bear pressed her paws together at her knees and closed her eyes, just like Mouse. And a clear thought appeared in Bear's head. I think I need to do this pose more often when I need to clear my own head. If I follow B, said Bear, I might find my favorite food. I sniff for my food like this, said Fox. Bear dropped to the ground and sniffed, just like Fox. And Bear could smell all the wonderful smells of the forest. What do you smell? You think they have blueberry muffins in the forest? That's the smell that comes to my mind. Bear rushed quickly from tree to tree, but didn't find any food. I try to wait and listen for my food, said Weasel. See, there's Weasel listening for their food. Bear waited and listened just like Weasel, and Bear could hear all the beautiful sounds of the forest. Bear thought she saw some food up in the branches, but then she heard a loud hiss. When I want to warn bears to leave me alone, I do this, said Snake. Bear lay down flat and hissed, just like Snake. And Bear remembered that she should take care in the forest. At last, Bear found a beehive. It was full of honey, but surrounded by bees. I stay still this way, said Butterfly, so that I don't get stung. Bear stayed very still like Butterfly, and Bear could hear the bees and smell the flowers. Bear dipped her paw and ate some of the delicious honey. Can you show me how you make your buzzing noise? Bear asked Bee. I use my wings, said Bee, but you can use your lips. Bear sat and breathed and buzzed just like Bee. And Bear felt as if she was not just full of honey, but full of bees too. Buzz, buzz. Bear rested by the river for a while, happy to have eaten her fill. I do this when I feel grateful, said Frog. Bear sat down and touched her toes, just like Frog. And Bear thought about what a wonderful day it had been. It was getting dark, and Bear started to worry about finding her way back home. Everyone gets worried sometimes, however big or small they are, said Mole. I do this to keep calm. Bear rested her head and breathed just like Mole, and all the worries in Bear's head floated away. This book has some good reminders about the power of deep breathing. When Bear got home to her cave, she sat down and watched the sun go down. For a moment, Bear felt lonely. Then she gave herself a big bear hug and made a list in her head of all the things the other animals had shared with her. This is called reflection. Bear is reflecting on her day. Bear had learned to wake up like rabbit, balance like bird, stretch like chipmunk, think clearly like mouse, sniff like fox, listen like weasel, hiss like snake, stay still like butterfly, buzz like bee, feel grateful like frog, and keep calm like mole. But now, all she wanted to do was sleep like bear. The end. So we're not done yet. What I'm going to invite you to do is, now that you've gotten your own movement, I'm going to invite you to learn to do some of the moves with the animal friends too. Are you ready, Krista? Okay, so if you can recall, the first friend we met was Rabbit, and Rabbit helped Bear feel more awake. So the way Rabbit did this, he stood with his feet slightly apart, arms by his side, and he took a big bear breath. A long breath in through your nose and a long breath out through your mouth. They repeated this 2 more times. So they did it once for practice and 2 more, which makes it 3. So let's take 3 big bear breaths in through our nose and out through our mouths. The next friend Bear met was Bird. Bird helped Bear balance her emotions. And the way she did this was by showing her how to balance. So Bird stood straight up. She brought the palms of her hands together by her heart. With one foot on the ground, she placed the other foot on the inside of her standing leg, just below her knee. So just like Krista's doing. She then raised her hands above her head, and she thought happy thoughts, and she smiled. Let's try to balance for 3 deep breaths before we repeat on the other side. What we do on one side, we must always do on the other. So let's do 3 deep breaths on this side, and then we'll do 3 deep breaths on the other. Remember, we're only doing these moves to the best of our ability. If you are having some challenges with balance, that is okay. Only you can know your body, just like Bear knew hers. So I'll give you some time to do your 3 deep breaths on one side and your 3 on the other. The next friend Bear met was Chipmunk. And Chipmunk helped Bear get a good stretch. So the way Chipmunk did this was by standing up straight, breathing in, and lifting their arms above their head, stretching their fingertips all the way to the sky. As they breathed out and stretched to one side, they breathed in and came back to the center. And then they stretched to the other side as they breathed out. So breathing in and moving to one side, breathing out and moving to the other is sometimes called synchronizing your breath. So if you ever hear someone say, oh, synchronize your breathing, that means to strategize and to time your breathing with your movements. The next friend was Mouse. Mouse helped Bear think about the day. The way they did this was by standing up straight with their feet hip distance apart. So your feet are not further apart than your hips are. They bent their knees and they got down into a squat. With their knees and their big toes pointed out, they balanced on the balls of their feet. So be careful as you do this. They rested their elbows on their knees and they brought the tips of their fingers and thumbs together. They breathed in, and as they breathed out, they said quietly to themselves, "Concentration is my strength." So they breathed in, and as they breathed out, they said quietly, "Concentration is my strength." All right, and who do we have next? None other than Fox, who helped Bear find food. The way they did this is they knelt with their hands flat on the ground. They curled their toes under and they lifted their hips and bottom and gently straightened their legs. So most people would refer to the pose that we see them in here, that we also see Krista in, as downward dog. But then they added a little bit of a twist because they started walking around with their right hand and left foot forward at the same time. So as they're moving their right hand, they're also moving their left foot. So they were synchronizing their arms and legs. Make sure that when you do it on one side, you do it on the other. If you don't have the space to move around like they do, maybe you can pedal. Krista, can you show us what a pedal looks like? Right. So maybe if you don't have the space to move, you can just pretend you're moving. You can pedal your feet and bend your knees. Thank you, Krista. Next, we met Weasel. Weasel's doing one of my favorite poses. In some yoga spaces, in many, this is considered the cat-cow pose. The way they did this is they knelt with their hands and knees on the ground and they had their backs straight. Then they stretched their hands and fingers, noticing where they touched the ground. So they were feeling the ground beneath them. Then, as they breathed in, remember synchronizing their breathing, they brought their shoulder blades together, dropping their tummy toward the ground. They looked ahead and smiled. And as they breathed out, they arched their back up toward the sky, letting the top of your head drop toward the ground. They breathed in and they came back to the starting pose. So this is what Weasel does when Weasel is trying to hear and listen for their food. So I love this pose. It feels great on your back. Next, Bear met Snake. Snake showed Bear how to take care in the forest. They lied flat on the ground with their hands underneath their shoulder palms down and fingertips pointing forward. They kept their elbows close to their bodies. As they breathed in and as they breathed out, they tried to stretch their back as they slowly lifted their head and chest off the ground. They kept their tummy on the ground and they looked straight ahead, relaxing their shoulders. So I'm going to invite you to take 3 quiet breaths here, making a hissing sound as you breathe out. So we breathe in and we breathe out. So 3 breaths. The next friend Bear met was Butterfly. Butterfly helped Bear hear and smell the flowers. Well, hear the bees and smell the flowers. The way they did this is they knelt with their hands and knees on the ground, with their knees and feet together. Then they slowly sat back on their heels and they rested their hands on their legs, with their palms facing down. I'm going to invite you to sit still here for a moment. Can you feel your breath moving in your body? That stillness allowed Bear to hear B. And following B, let Bear find honey. So when Bear asked B how he can, or she, excuse me, can buzz like a bee, B invited Bear to sit with her legs wide apart, then bend one leg in toward itself and bring the other in front of it. So Bear was invited to sit cross-legged or crisscross applesauce, sitting with their back straight up, with your lips apart, well, your lips together, excuse me, and your teeth slightly apart. Make a gentle buzzing sound as they breathed out. That's what they did. They made a gentle buzzing sound on their breath out. I'm going to invite you to repeat this 3 times, noticing what the buzz feels like inside of your body. So as you breathe in, we take a deep breath, and as you breathe out, we buzz, noticing what the breath feels like inside of your body. So 3 times. Next, we met Frog, who helped Bear feel grateful. Frog instructed Bear to sit with her legs straight out in front of her, bending her knees slightly if she needed to. She settled her bottom on the ground as she sat up straight. Then she rested her hands on her legs. As she breathed out, just like you, as you breathe out, I invite you to slide your hands down your legs towards your feet, bringing your head down and keeping your back as straight as you can. Breathe in, and as you breathe out, rest. So breathe in, and as you breathe out, rest. The last friend Bear met was Mole. And Mole showed Bear a pose that helps her keep calm. So she invited Bear to kneel with her bottom on her heels and her knees slightly apart. Then she used her hands to support her as she lowered her forehead, gently resting it on the ground. She brought her arms alongside her body with her palms facing up. And here she took 4 quiet breaths. So many people know this pose as child's pose. So 4 deep breaths. And then finally, Bear teaches us 2 poses on her own. She gave herself a bear hug while she was lying down. So now I invite you to lie on your back with your feet flat on the floor and your knees pointing up toward the sky, with your arms by your sides and your palms facing up. So take your time and breathe here. And as you breathe in, bring your arms across your body and your hands beneath your shoulders to give yourself a big hug. Breathe out and rest. As you breathe, make these 3 wishes for yourself. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be calm. Cross your arms the other way and repeat these 3 wishes. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be calm. And when you're ready, we can sleep like Bear. Lying on the ground with your legs straight, your arms by your sides, and your palms facing up. Breathe in. And as you breathe out, rest into the ground. Let your body sink into the ground. Let your body feel soft and relaxed. Notice where you feel your breath moving in your body. Maybe you feel it in your tummy, your chest, or your nose. Lie here as long as you like and pay attention to your breath and your body. So you can continue lying here in this pose as long as you would like, but I do want to shout out the book once more. This is Yoga Animals in the Forest. Jump, stretch, balance, breathe, and relax with the animals by Christiane Kerr, illustrated by Julia Green. So we thank you for moving and breathing with us, and that you remember all of the poses and all of the benefits, the gifts that come from these poses that our friends in the forest taught us. Thank you, Krista.